Going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about a lot of things that are ruining your vocals, and this is more importantly with raw vocals, or if you're working with a vocalist and you're not getting it from a sample pack that's professionally mixed and put it, processed correctly. I'm going to walk you through a few steps that I think are fundamental for you to understand. This is not going to be a full comprehensive how to mix raw vocal guide. If you guys do want that, let's say we hit 100 likes on the video and 50 comments, then I will make a full comprehensive guide start to finish on how to do vocals from raw, my processing and my whole thought process going through them. So if you guys want that, make sure to like and comment down below. In the meantime though, let's dig into what is ruining your vocals. Okay, so first things first is whenever you are doing the take your vocal or your vocalist that's recording. I didn't personally record these vocals. They were taken by Grizzly, which is coming up on an upcoming track for Stimulate. He did these, and this is pretty much the raw I got from him, which is not a full raw because he had some compression and stuff on his chain, but this is what I received personally. As you can see, I added a lot more stuff to it to make it fit the mix better, and even more stuff, so on and so forth, that I needed to make it work. But we're not going to get into that. The first step is going to make sure your vocals are not clipping. As you can see with this vocal here, this is the take that was given to me. We can see that there's no clipping here. And when I'm saying that, we have a headroom. We're not hitting the maximum. If I was sent something where it was pushed up or like this, where it's clipping in multiple places, this could be distorting and probably is distorting, and you can't really undo distortion. So I rather have a vocalist send me something like this. I can always gain it up appropriately rather than something that's already been distorted. If I was sent something that was already distorted and I try to turn it down, you're just turning it down with the distortion. Number one is make sure you're not taking your takes too hot, right? That is your biggest thing. Always allow for more headroom. It's just going to make your life easier. And it's a good practice to have with something that you want to preserve dynamics and not have overly distorted, like say your dubstep basses, where it doesn't really matter where you're slamming it and making it super loud. Number two is going to be combing and going through vocal takes. As you can see here, there's a lot of empty spaces, there's a lot of cuts, and you can see there's certain parts where I'm turning down even just a syllable of a word. And that's because your B's, P's, and S's, it can be others, but those are really hard because your B's and P's push a lot on the mic, and your S's are very sharp. What you need to do is make sure you're combing through, and if there's anything that is super loud, let's say, for example, if this peak was too loud and I needed it to kind of come down a little bit, I kind of want a more rounded vocal. It doesn't need to be perfect, but if it seems like it's sticking out quite a bit, maybe just turn it down just a little bit, and the perceived loudness is still going to be as loud as everything else. Now I go through and do this with my whole vocal, and it takes some time. Another thing you got to look for is dead space and clicks in your mic. So this is really big. I actually even noticed this one till I was in the final export and I heard it. So I'm going to play this real quick for you guys. I want to see if you guys can hear this little click. Right? Verse. Those can be everywhere. So always, if you have some extra room or anything that's not being said, maybe this here. No, I mean, that makes you so. I think I've gone through and cut out everything that, but go through and comb your vocal. That's tip number 2. 3 now is to kind of level out your vocal. Obviously, in vocals, you have dynamics. We talk lower, we talk higher, we belt a little stronger. We talk in a very dynamic way and we sing in a very dynamic way, but we don't want these peaks to be too out of the norm. We don't want to squash it. Once again, we don't want to OTT our vocal down to a sausage, but we want to add compression, and you can do this through multi-band compression, glue compressor. There's many great ways you can do this, and your final vocal should turn out something like this, where there's still plenty of dynamics, but you can see for the most part it's pretty squashed. Or not pretty squashed, but it's more squashed than the raw up up here, where we're having more peaks and stuff, it is more tamed. So use multi-band compression and glue compressor, whatever your native DAW is. If you're an Ableton, multi-band compressor preset, phenomenal, and glue compressor's natural state is great. And pull down the threshold till you get a good amount of gain. Obviously, I pulled down about -9 dB and made up the gain, so it's still the same loudness, but it's not going to be as peaked. Nice coffee heads. Next, I want to touch on the amount of takes you might have to do sometimes. This is if you're going to record your own vocals. If you don't know, you don't just sing one thing and call it good. Usually, or never really. Usually you're going to take 4 or 5 takes, even many more, and you're going to splice it together. So I just made some random colors here. Once again, I didn't record these, but say green take was take 1, this is take 2, take 3, take 4. And you go through all 4 or 5 takes and you take the best part of each one. And you're going to be putting them together. So just remember that you're not going to just be doing one take for a vocal, and you should be doing multiple takes. And that way you pretty much piece together like a puzzle your best parts of each take, and you'll get a great final vocal. So once again, I didn't do this because I didn't record these, but this would be the process that would usually go in. And you could color code each lane a different one, or vice versa, and then when you put it together you can see exactly where they came from. It's really great to have and a good resource to use to make sure you're getting the best takes overall. Lastly, not having your vocals too wide. There's nothing wrong with having a doubler and even in making your vocal wider, which I have on my main verse here. I have it wider, but we still want it to be pretty mono-compatible. If you know the span or how I use span, I like to have a good amount of space between my stereo and my mono area. So, okay, so I pulled up span real quick and you can see that you can see that it's really not phasing, and there's still a good amount of stereo on it that can be pushed. Skrillex does some of his vocals in completely mono. I do not, but make sure your vocals are not too wide. Otherwise, you know, it's going to be harder to mix them in, and you want that to be the main focus. So putting them more towards the middle and putting your instruments wider and all your other accents is going to help expand that. Hope this video helped you guys. I hope you learned something briefly about vocals. If you want me to do a whole comprehensive guide, like I said, let's hit 100 likes, 50 comments, subscribe if you're new here because I drop weekly tutorials, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.